Right. Okay. And the other thing, so you said that there was a program that's available to train the teachers to be able to identify, like if a student is struggling or something is going on. I don't know. I don't want to miss. Is that what I understood that you
Yeah,
said?
it's called the Lighthouse Project, and there's like five, it's kind of like a rubric. So when you know, you answer questions, and if it tells you what to do at each step. So if they answer yes to this, you should do this. If they answer yes to that, and it's just a way, it's really for people that you are concerned that they're suicidal. So
Okay.
that's one of those particular programs.
Okay. So another thing that happens some in the schools, and I've heard about this thing called a Promise Program. Are you familiar with the Promise Program?
I am.
And what's your position on it?
So I believe that we do have to have ways to help our students. I think that they need to know that there are consequences for actions, but the consequences should be applicable to what the behavior is. The Promise Program, the way it is right now, I think it needs some improvement. I don't think that students should just be automatically arrested and put in jail or even in, you know, detention for minor infractions. Of course, violent things or things that are bad, we need to address those immediately. But I had a lot of students who came back from the Promise Program, and you know, some of them, it didn't do anything for them. They didn't do the work that was there. They weren't reformed. It wasn't. So I'd really like to look at that and try to see where the problems are and what needs to be improved in it, or maybe just look at a different diversionary program. But I think the main thing is that we need to teach students that there are always consequences for actions, but the consequences should apply to the, you know, correct. I don't know how to, I'm not phrasing that very well,
Okay.
but you know, they need to be, the consequences should be applicable to whatever the infraction is.
Okay, so you think the idea of a Promise Program is good, that, you know, if a student does something that's not violent or something like that, they shouldn't go to jail. They should go to some sort of program. But what's probably going on is that maybe the implementation or whatever they're supposed to do once the child gets to the Promise Program, that might be where the breakdown is like they're probably not following through on all the things that are promised as part of the program.
Right. Like I know, like for us as a teacher, when a student goes to the Promise Program, they asked us send work, you know, because sometimes it's for a week, sometimes for a couple of days. And when the students come back, they're like, I never got anything. I just sat around. So
That
I've
was
never
indoor
been there.
suspension when I went to school. They would send the work and all of us would be stuck in a room, and they're like,
Yeah.
okay, you were bad. You can't be in class with regular folks right now. So they would put us in a room, and it was indoor suspension. And then, you know, we went back to class after it was over. So when they're in a Promise Program, they're actually physically taken out of their school and sent somewhere else for just a week.
Yeah, or whatever the days are. But yes, they're sent to, there's different centers around the county,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where they go for whatever that, it's an alternative to suspension,
Okay.
basically. And you know, the idea is, because when you suspend kids, you kind of send them home and you don't know what they're doing, at least when they go to the Promise Program or to the alternative to suspension, they're supposed to be engaged in something. And in some centers that may happen, but I don't think that it happens all the time, and we just need to be consistent. So whatever the expectation is, then you need to be sure that you're following that and everyone understands what the expectations are.